Local productions seen on Delta College Public Media are made possible with support from viewers like you. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Junia Doan's The Spark. Thank you for joining us. Today, I am speaking with lifestyle designer Heidi Carey, who has created a large following with her designs for jewelry, robes, and accessories. Welcome, Heidi. Well, Heidi, I'm delighted to talk to you almost cross country. You've had this business about 7 years, and you started at 50, I read. And what brought you to start this kind of a business then?
Well, I have to say, I think I've been very lucky to be able to be home to bring up my three boys, which are now 21, 23, and 25. And I would say I'm very lucky to now have created another chapter in my life that is now back at work. Um, I obviously have high energy, very industrious, and I love to work. So this kind of fell in my lap. It wasn't planned. It definitely had some organic growth to it. I did not know I'd be doing this. 57 now, and I really look forward to working as long as I can. I mean, people say, "Are you going to sell it?" I'm like, "No, I'm so excited about working and creating, and you know, I'm just very lucky."
I relate. What were the milestones in your life that took you to that position?
Well, I grew up in New York, and I'm one of middle, was it what I would say the deprived middle child of three daughters, and luckily had a great education. I was an economics major in college, and thought I was heading to Wall Street, but always knew I had a passion for fashion, but didn't really think I could make a career out of it. Back then, I wasn't an artist per se, and I didn't paint. And back then they didn't have a lot of the I guess opportunities that a lot of people have in these art schools and artistic schools that can have you focus on PR and marketing and all these wonderful things, that opportunities that are now arising. I don't think I had. So I went and basically tried interior decorating, ended up getting a Girl Friday spot at Ralph Lauren Design. And within 3 weeks, had a full-time job in accessories, designing women's accessories, which was their licensing department, which was 11 lines. Vera Wang came in and ran that for about 3 years before she got married and went off and did her own line. And it was a wonderful opportunity. Definitely learned a lot about the business, a lot about creativity, and then got married and moved to the West Coast. Tried to do a line of my own, which was called Better Bridge back then. There was no internet, and we showed in a showroom in New York. I was in a few department stores and really did not a great job, but a good job. And I think, as things have it, starting a family wasn't easy for me physically, so I had to take a break from work, and then had my family. And as it turns out, friends gave me a pop-up trunk show for some necklaces that I had designed about 6 years ago, 6.5 years ago. And it sold so well that day. My husband comes out and goes, "You're going back to work. I think this is it." And I go, "What?" I just learned to knot, Chinese knot, as kind of a therapeutic outlet for me, having raised three boys. And it ended up being the entree into a new chapter of my life.
What got you to move from New York to California? A big cultural change.
I moved, got married, and basically came back from my honeymoon to San Francisco. It was my husband. He was living out here, and I think why not? I mean, we had a pact. If after 2 years we both didn't feel it was going to be a good fit, we could move back. And clearly, almost 31 years later, we're still here.
Do you
So
think
yeah.
living on the West Coast changed you?
Oh, definitely, definitely. I think I think it opened me up to a lot of more influences that on the East Coast I would not have had. I had a lot more, I guess, uh, what I would say. I had a lot more influence from the Asian community. My husband and I love to travel, and we spend a
Yeah.
lot of time in the Far East. We've done multiple cities and taken the children. And I have to say, I definitely would not have had that influence in my life if I'd been on the East Coast. Of course, it's now more everywhere, but I think in San Francisco, it's embraced and encouraged, and it's a wonderful influence that I did not have growing up.
Had you worked with your husband before on any project or any business before you started this one?
Well, we've been together 36 years. I mean, we started dating senior year in college. We knew each other. We met in high school. So we've been together a long time, and this would be our first real project together. And it has been a challenge. I mean, we have to be honest. It's not easy working and living with your husband. But again, there's so many wonderful, wonderful benefits. Having a partner in business that you obviously trust 100%, that has your back. And I think having a partner, even if it's your business, having a partner you can rely on and be there for you is, priceless.
Do you find it changed your marriage?
Well, I think getting older and going through stages of your life of having children, then being an empty nester, there are changes in a marriage inevitably. I
Yes.
think it just coincided the business with also being an empty nester. So we embraced being by ourselves again and having more flexibility to travel and be together, but also having a business. Yeah, it definitely has changed things. Yeah,
What I've read is not necessarily about you, but
right.
other couples who work together, they have to be careful that the business doesn't seep into personal life
Oh my
and
God,
kind of
yes.
take
Oh my God.
over.
Yes,
Because there's
yes, yes,
always opportunities and problems in
yes, of
businesses
course.
and
And I mean,
raising children and all the rest of it.
yes. Well, because it's your baby and you're giving, I mean, starting a business, it's your baby. So you give 110%, you're working 24/7. And yeah, but we do have conversations all the time about, okay, we're not talking about it. We're not talking about it. This is dinner, or we're not, so we do. Yes, it is something like in any marriage, it's a give and flow, and you have to be open for communication about it. It's just a different type of conversation that you as a couple might have.
Did you self-fund this? Did you have an early budget? How did you go around
Well,
thinking about the future of starting the company?
no, this is self-funded, and we have not taken any outside money or VC money or such. And of course, that could be a positive and a negative, but we've decided that we're doing it on our own. And the growth we've had has been really good, knock on wood. We've had great growth, constant growth, organic growth. So it's solid, and it's ours. So we're proud of that, and we'll keep going.
Do you have employees at this point?
I would say we probably have 12 employees that help us around the country, from Colombia to, I mean, I can't, and there's so many different countries. Argentina, we've got Italy, we've got, they're endless. Peru, all people that work for us in different aspects of artist, marketing, PR, IT. And I do have one wonderful partner here in the office, Debbie, that's been helping us out for about 3 years, that helps me out here. But really, we are a global country as far as our employees.
Thrilling.
Yeah,
What
I
do
mean,
you look for an employee who's not even in front of you, but in a different country?
yeah. Well, I mean, again, I think having a business with this technology and all the wonderful advancements, we can definitely take advantage of that. And obviously, our marketing is in-house. So we have LA for PR. I mean, it's not all outside the country, but I would say 70% of it is.
You know, jewelry, or you know this way better than I, has styles. Everything has a period, especially in clothes
Mhm.
and perhaps other things.
Right.
Does that affect your line of jewelry? It's been 7 years since you started.
No, I really do have a belief that I really like everything just to be classically elegant. And I don't really follow a lot of trends. I'm not a fashion house. I don't reinvent the wheel every, depends if you have 3 or 4 or 5 seasons. Um, I really do try to make things just be a classic. So you buy it, a purchase, and it's good forever. And that obviously translates into our at homeware line, the robes, the pajamas, the nightshirts. Everything just tries to be classic. I try to introduce new patterns in the at home wear. I'll try to introduce some new stones I might find or get inspired by. But no, I do feel that they are timeless pieces.
Do you have competition for your type of design in the, say, the jewelry business?
In the jewelry business, not as much because I'm not costume and I'm not fine jewelry. By meaning I don't use um, a lot of gold or diamonds, sapphires. I'm a semi-precious stones, woods, nuts, natural organic beads. So yes, no. Again, it's almost a bridge business. Not being costume and not being fine jewelry, it is a harder product for most people to understand unless they are a bead lover. And I grew up in a house. My mother was obviously a great inspiration to me, and she was not a fancy jewelry person, but she loved her beads and pearls, and that's where I definitely get this passion from. So people who walk by and see my necklaces, they'd be like, they'll double take and go, "What? Oh my God, I love this!" Or where does it fit in? It's not inexpensive and it's not expensive. So it is teaching people about a semi-precious line of necklaces that are hand strung on silk is something you have to educate most consumers. They don't automatically love it or
Where
understand it.
did you
Not
get
don't automatically understand it.
your jewels or stones to work with when you started? Are there conferences, not conferences, trade shows
Oh
you
God,
went
yes.
to, or local things in San Francisco you
Oh,
could drop in and buy? How did that work?
there are local around the country, but of course, starting a business, you got to go to the big one. You go right to Hong Kong. Actually, there's a big one in Bangkok too, but I haven't done that one. Of course, I love Hong Kong, so it was a good excuse to go and met a lot of dealers there. There's obviously the very large one in Tucson, Arizona, in coming up actually in a few weeks in the end of January is another big beach show. Equal in size. So I'll usually go to both. Obviously, traveling to Hong Kong has not happened in the last few years due to their unrest and now COVID. But Tucson has been a great resource, and everyone from around the world shows up for Tucson. So it is a great asset to have in the U.S.
The people who work for you around in the different countries, are they also a buyer of materials for you?
Not buyers of the beads. No, the beads I do all myself. The
You do that in
manufacturer.
Tucson, or now that you have relationships with various people, you can do it with Zoom.
Yes, there are some people, but like pearls, to be honest, pearls is such a its own industry on its own, and I'm not a pearl expert, nor can I pretend to be, because it takes years. It's like learning bridge. It takes years to understand the pearls. So I trust when I see it in person, and I only deal with a few people that I do trust. So I would never buy pearls without seeing them. And as far as other beads, yes, I do have some dealers that I call up or email, and I have no problem with. But again, inspiration happens when you see a certain cut, a certain color. It's it's very inspiring to see what's new. And every year the industry comes out with new concepts, either colors, cuts, sizes, and to see them all together is much more impactful than seeing them online.
Does the business fill the spiritual hole you commented on at one time as needing filling after your last son went off to college?
Oh, definitely, definitely. I mean, I think it's just having your own self-worth and feeling positive about yourself. And I mean, there are days we're exhausted and there's lots of days that are bad and something's gone really wrong and it's your fault and it's such a learning curve. But, my husband's much, much more taking the higher view of things by saying, every mistake is a good mistake. You have to just learn why it happened and how do
Yeah.
you not do it again and how do we learn from it. So that has been really what I'm learning to adapt more and be thankful for. In the beginning, as you start any business and it's your baby, you take everything so personally and you have to learn to let that go because it
Life
isn't
is not perfect.
no, and
Right.
nothing's perfect. And I'm going to make mistakes, even in parenting and in business. You're going to make mistakes for the rest of your life. You just hope that you learn from them and you go forward. And yeah. So I mean, we're
At least
obviously
you're
trying.
trying something.
Yeah. Oh my
So,
God. We're definitely doing our best, trying to be, trying our best. We're now going into 100% I don't have them here. I'm right in front of them. Compostable bags. We're doing a carbon neutral on our website. We cover all of our travel and my car and my driving, all with planting trees in Costa Rica. I mean, we're really trying to do everything we possibly can, um, in our wheelhouse. I mean, I can definitely look to Ellen Fisher and Stella McCartney are just unbelievable, inspiring women in the industry that have really put that first in their business. And I'm trying my best. Patagonia. I mean, we're doing our part. We have a long way to go, but we're trying.
newer materials seem to have lessened the need for dry cleaners. Is there anything new now switching to robes or clothing somewhat that you could use paper? I remember years and years ago, a friend of mine designed me a paper dress to wear the New York Philharmonic opening. And
Wow.
people didn't realize it was paper. And the idea wasn't that it was so gorgeous or this or that, but it was a
Yeah.
precursor to her goal of making clothes that were disposable, basically. So you didn't have to dry clean them, you didn't have to wash them once and done.
Right.
Is there anything, and now there seems to be more compress this and compress that. Has that ever tempted you?
No, we are still doing, I really would like to do still 100% natural products, cotton. I've been playing with some silk. Um, we obviously do terry. We're looking at cotton velvet. I don't really um, know if I would do anything that's dry cleanable. Silk would be the only one, I guess, but you could do a washable silk. Again, I don't want my products to have to go to the dry cleaner. And there is some maintenance depending on everyone's personal preferences to their scalloping. Some people never iron, some people are fanatic ironers. So it's everyone is different and everyone has a different level of comfort. So it's hard to tell you what's for every person and every customer. But we do try to keep things to be, everything's washable, everything can go in the dryer. We do try to pre-shrink everything. Of course, we don't encourage dryers, but I put everything in the dryer and it doesn't shrink. So we're doing our best to make it to be as easy a product to use and reuse.
As you go forward, are there goals in the business? Do you see it growing and then you're saying, well, I've worked hard enough, I'm going to try starting something else? Is there an exit other than your energy level?
Um, no, I don't foresee an end right now. I don't. Um, we really created this to keep us fulfilled, happy. Of course, obviously, health and happiness come first, but no, we don't see an end to this business right now. I can see maybe expanding it, But again, getting brand recognition to be able to do that is what enables you to expand over different platforms. Um, we are considering perhaps going into a wholesale market. Um, we're looking into that. There are other avenues to go down, but I see this, I can work to my 80. I mean, 80s. I mean, I'd like, who knows? I don't see an end to it.
I think working gives you happiness.
Yeah.
Gives me happiness. I like that. But
Well,
um, yeah, for one thing, it teaches you a lot. As you say, mistakes are great teachers if you're willing to learn. Tremendously good teachers. And I just wondered how you balance out. I don't know, I guess I'm speaking personally. I tend to work till I'm so exhausted I have to take a break. And my late husband always said that was not really a good way to do things. You should work or take a rest and, so forth. What is your attitude towards all this?
well, unfortunately, I think my husband and my children are the same thing. Telling me to stop, get away from your desk, stop doing that, stop. And you can't help it. Again, it's in the beginning stages. I mean, and you can't help but give 110%. But I'm trying. I'm trying to be more selfish and trying to exercise more and take some more time. Get out and socialize, have a ladies' lunch. Um, I am trying to be more selfish and take time for myself because I do think you get run down. And the fourth quarter for any retail business is a very difficult time, as you know, and that's hard to do. But I'm catching up now.
Well, the idea of, I just feel you must have a spiritual life in some way, whether you meditate or pray, or there's something about you that, I don't know, I'm guessing, but that was my sense of you when I met you.
Yes, I do TM on occasion. It depends again, and you go in and out of um, being a very devoted meditator. Um, I would say I try. I think having children and some kids with learning issues or other issues, it's, I think personally, I have learned to be a little bit more zen and let things happen and not control things as much. And I think having a business later in life has enabled me to take the hits and the bad and the good a little bit more even keel than when I was younger. But I think it's also maturity and I think it's age. So I think a lot of it has to do with all those different parts of my life coming together at this point in my 50s. Would I have been able to do this when I was younger? Yes. Would I have had a different approach? Probably.
So let me just repeat that to make sure I understand it. Earlier, I don't want to say problems, challenges with your children and perhaps others gave you experience to not get too off balance from
Yes,
these
yes.
things.
Well, I mean, also, you just take things so inner. You just blame yourself, or you have to deal with emotions, and yes, I think it definitely teaches you the tools to deal with issues that happen in life that could be personal or business.
How do you figure out what other type of article you wish to sell? Or as you said, maybe go wholesale?
I love scalloping. So anything you can scallop, I will try to scallop, is one of my passions. And I think it's just a wonderful classic detail. So having said that, I am staying in that realm right now. I have tried to do some white shirts, linen shirts. Um, I've tried bags, I've done some shoes. Um, I've tried a variety of different other more accessories, I guess. I don't know if I really want to get into a clothing line, although at homeware is clothing, but I do see it as a little bit more of an adjacent to clothing, not outright. You know what I mean? I don't think it's hanging in the same section. So,
At this
um,
point, maybe you don't want to say, but what are the majority of your sales from?
Oh, it's not. I'm fine saying it's basically, I would say 80% of my sales are at homeware. I mean, my business is basically due to the direct to customer e-commerce COVID. It has basically turned out to be an at homeware line is where the business is right now. Yeah.
Thank you, Heidi. I've enjoyed being with you these few minutes. Heidi has taught us a number of things. First of all, marry someone who is flexible and decent enough to support your dream. Two, learn from your experience. Three, she comes from an aesthetic family, and you see she went to Barnard in economics and thought about a career in finance, but then drifted or chose to go the other. It's really interesting. If we had more time, I would ask her what she learned at Barnard, if anything, that helped her later on in her life. But her sense of perseverance, her sense of decency, her sense of reality, her sense of contact, and keeping good relations is an inspiration and a model for all of us. So thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you next week. Remember, go out and do something kind, or at least smile behind your mask to someone you know or someone you know. And I'll see you next time. Thanks so much for tuning in.
Thank you. Bye.
To contact Junia, send her an email at juniadownsthespark@gmail.com. For more information, program schedules, and news about future guests, go to www.juniadownthespark.com. Thank you for joining us. See you next time on Junia Doan's The Spark.
Local productions seen on Delta College Public Media are made possible with support from viewers like you. Thank you.